Hello and welcome back to Reason News. Today we confront a tragedy that has once again plunged a community into mourning. In Minneapolis, a school shooting at Annunciation Catholic School has claimed the lives of 2 children and left 17 others injured. This was a deliberate act of violence that shattered a place of worship and learning, leaving a nation to grapple with the senselessness of it all. We will examine the details of this horrific event, the heroic response at first responders, and the broader questions this tragedy forces us to ask about safety in our schools and communities. It was during morning mass, a time of quiet reflection and community, that the unthinkable occurred. Police Chief Brian O'Hara described the attack as a deliberate act of violence against children and worshippers. The sanctuary, a place meant for peace, became a scene of unspeakable horror. The assailant, armed with a rifle, shotgun and pistol, opened fire through the church windows, targeting the most vulnerable. The attack was swift and brutal. Within minutes, the lives of an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old were taken. Of the 17 injured, 14 were children and 2 of them remain in critical condition, fighting for their lives. This event is a stark reminder of the indiscriminate nature of such violence, where even the most sacred spaces offer no sanctuary from a determined and hateful individual. As chaos erupted inside, a coordinated and rapid response from law enforcement and emergency medical services began outside. First responders arrived within minutes, their actions saving countless lives. Chief O'Hara confirmed that the gunman, after his rampage, turned a weapon on himself, ending the immediate threat but leaving behind a community in shock and disbelief. The bravery of these individuals cannot be overstated. They ran toward danger to help those in need, embodying the very best of humanity in the face of the very worst. Their swift action prevented a greater loss of life and ensured that the injured received immediate medical attention. Here's a video from BBC News.
2 people are dead, and we know that 17 injured, 14 of them children and 2 in critical condition. The gunmen themselves shot themselves in the back of, at the back of the church. Not clear whether all the shooting was from outside the church through a window, some possibly inside too. But a very emotional news conference from the Democrat mayor of Minneapolis and the Minneapolis police chief on what has happened here. And it's just at the start of the school term, isn't it, right across the United States?
It is. In many places across the United States, school just began in the last several days. So I think this is something that'll be obviously horrifying for parents around the country, many of whom as recently as Monday just took their children to school for the first time.
But just stay with us. Just let me bring in some of what the police chief said, Brian O'Hara, just a short time ago.
Earlier today, just before 8:30 a.m., our city experienced an unthinkable tragedy. Minneapolis police officers responded to a report of a shooting at a mass that was happening at the Annunciation Roman Catholic Church on the block behind me. This worship service was marking the first week of school for children that are attending the Annunciation Catholic School. During the mass, a gunman approached on the outside, on the side of the building, and began firing a rifle through the church windows towards the children sitting in the pews at the mass. Shooting through the windows, he struck children and worshipers that were inside the building. The shooter was armed with a rifle, a shotgun, and a pistol. This was a deliberate act of violence against innocent children and other people worshiping. The sheer cruelty and cowardice of firing into a church full of children is absolutely incomprehensible. Police officers from the Minneapolis Police Department immediately responded, entered the church, and attempted to provide first aid and rescue some of the children that were hiding throughout the building, while other first responders came and EMS responded to rush victims to nearby hospitals. 2 young children, ages 8 and 10, were killed where they sat in the pews. Their parents have been notified. 17 other people were injured, 14 of them being children. 2 of those children are in critical condition. The coward who fired these shots ultimately took his own life in the rear of the church. Our hearts are broken for the families who have lost their children, for these young lives that are now fighting to recover, and for our entire community that has been so deeply traumatized by this senseless attack. We will stand together to protect our children, our schools, and our houses of worship. This deliberate act of violence is just a sign of cruelty that is beyond comprehension. Our hearts are broken for everyone that's been affected by this tragedy.
This tragedy in Minneapolis is not an isolated incident. It is a recurring nightmare that has become a grim feature of modern life. This attack forces us to confront difficult questions about gun control, mental health, and the security of our public spaces. The fact that a place of worship and a school can be targeted with such devastating ease is a failure of our collective responsibility to protect the innocent. In the wake of the shooting, the Minneapolis community has come together to mourn and support one another. Candlelight vigils are being planned and support services are being offered to the survivors, their families, and all those affected. This is a time for healing, for remembering the 2 young lives that were lost, and for supporting the families who have endured an unimaginable loss. They were 8 and 10 years old, with their entire lives ahead of them. Their deaths are a profound loss, not just to their families, but to our entire society. As we conclude this broadcast, we extend our deepest sympathies to the families of the victims and all those injured in this senseless act of violence. This tragedy serves as a solemn call to action for all of us to work toward a future where our schools and communities are safe havens, free from fear and violence. Thank you for watching Reason News. Until next time, stay informed, updated, and curious.